Investors, welcome back to Green Money Momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and today we are talking all about that big guy back there, Mr. Big Bear AI. And we may be seeing many more bears running around here in the very near future, as Big Bear has just been approved for dilution. We may see up to 1 billion more shares added into circulation. So yesterday we did have the big shareholder meeting, and at this meeting there was a vote on whether or not the shareholders did want to see Big Bear do this. And the reason why Big Bear is rounding up some more cash is they have a big acquisition coming here Q4 of this year. If you missed the last earnings report, they did talk about this, and that is that they are acquiring the company Ask Sage, which is another technology company that works with a lot of government organizations, just like Big Bear AI. We could see some of the big players here. We have NASA and the U.S. Army, as well as many others. So some massive contracts that this company Ask Sage has. As we could see here, this is from their website: 16,000 government teams, 27 plus agencies, 2,500 companies. And so this is a big acquisition for Big Bear AI. I like to see this for this company because this is exactly why we have been following Big Bear all year long, because of the growth story that we are seeing. So Big Bear themselves have picked up some big government contracts. They also work with the U.S. Army. They also work at all these different airports and internationally with the UAE. And this just presents more customers for Big Bear AI. So in the short term, yes, this is a big expense, 250 million plus to acquire Ask Sage, but I believe this is totally worth it because myself, I also run a company, and if I am presented for an acquisition of another company, this would strengthen my underlying business and bring in many more customers. I would definitely do that. And so with this, analysts are expecting for the shares outstanding to grow by 7% per year for the next 3 years. And again, some look at dilution as very negative because, of course, the more shares that are added into circulation, that is less that you have in terms of ownership of that company. Your share is less in worth because of the added shares. But really, I don't think this is too bad because with Big Bear, we have seen a ton of growth this last year. So I started covering Big Bear in 2024 when they were around $2 to $3. And since then, we have seen a big jump up in the Big Bear. Their market cap last year was under $1 billion. We saw them get all the way up to $3 billion at their highest point this year, currently right at $2.64 billion. And right now, there are only 436 million shares outstanding. So, of course, adding $1 billion to this, some investors, again, don't want to see this, but I believe with dilution, if a company is a terrible company, if they aren't improving at all, of course, dilution is terrible. We see this with a ton of different penny stocks, but if the company is growing and investors are enthusiastic and the company is improving their cash flow, their outreach, the overall company just getting better every single year like Big Bear is, I don't think dilution is the worst thing because this will bring much more cash to Big Bear, and their balance sheet has already been freed up a ton this last year. So when we started covering Big Bear in 2024, they had a ton of debt and just a little bit of cash, but they have greatly paid down that debt, raised a bunch of cash. They are raising cash once again, and this is a very positive thing for the Big Bear. When we do look at technical analysis today, there was a bit of a sell-off, but really not too bad. So currently we are sitting at $5.84, right under the $6 mark, but we are riding right at that 200-day moving average, and we are still at this level of support where we have been at for a lot of the year. So ever since we saw this gap up in June, we have rode between these levels right around $6 all the way up to around $8.50, sitting as a major resistance. So Big Bear still sitting at a great level of support. We are at 45 on the relative strength index. And then on the MACD, it does appear that we may be seeing a bullish cross here very soon. And the macros in the economy look great right now. When we talk about tariffs, things are very positive there. Things are also looking dovish with the Federal Reserve. So I personally like where we are sitting at with BigBearAI, right under $6. This is appetizing to me. I made a video earlier this year on how I am playing with BigBearAI. It is options contracts. And I'll tell you this, with BigBear, every single time we see these levels come down, you know, right around the 200-day moving average, we come down on the relative strength index. This is personally when I have been making my long-term investments with BigBear, and they have paid off tremendously. So again, I play with a lot of options contracts within BigBear. I initially invested into BigBear again in 2024 here in November, and we skyrocketed all the way up to $10 at one point. This was a 400% return on investment. Then we crashed. I added more to my BigBear in April, and it once again reached a 400% ROI. And so basically what I am saying with BigBear, and then again, I added here, and I've had some decent ROI since then. But what I'm saying with BigBear is I always like to add when BigBear is lower, because there's a lot of true intrinsic value with BigBear. This is a very volatile stock also, so it could run up very quick. And I see where we are currently at as an accumulation zone. So again, some dilution coming in to BigBear here in the very near future. I would be concerned if I didn't see all the enthusiasm that there is for BigBear and seeing them improve as a company. So again, dilution to me, very bad. If you see a company that is just absolutely trash, if you see them just burning through cash, making no improvement, but just like with the earnings reports, Kevin has talked about how BigBear is growing as a company. Thus far, we haven't seen the best results with BigBear when it comes to their earnings reports. We have seen some decelerating revenue and some low quarters, still sitting at just 30 million at their last quarter. So we don't know exactly what BigBear is getting paid with a lot of these government contracts, but what we do know is they are still picking up a ton of deals. They are going to pick up a ton of more deals with this big Ask Sage acquisition, and overall there is a lot of growth from this company. The actual executives are trying to make BigBear a much bigger company, and so currently BigBear is still a small market cap stock. When there is dilution with small market cap stocks, again, there's always fear, uncertainty, and doubt, especially if the company is improving themselves. But in the last year that I have covered BigBear, I really like seeing what this company is doing, and I am not at all spooked by the dilution that we should be seeing here coming up. And when it comes to dilution, they are going to be doing it at times that make sense. So it's not like they are going to pump all billion shares into circulation all of the sudden and we see a crash with BigBear. Most likely they will load these shares up during moments when BigBear is also running up, when the price action is very positive. So I'm very excited for this company. I will continue to cover the BigBear, and again, right where we are sitting at, I consider this to be an accumulation zone. And so I can't suggest things on this channel. Again, this is never financial advice, just my opinion, but my opinion, we are at an accumulation zone, and I like to accumulate my BigBear with long bullish option contracts with BigBear that go very far out into the future and are very close to in the money. So leaps essentially. Again, that is a strategy I've talked about. I made a whole video about BigBear. If you haven't seen it, click the video right here and you'll see my exact strategy that I am using, because during these moments when there is these accumulation zones, this is when you can make the greatest return on investment. But I would be curious to hear what you all think in the comments section below. So please drop a comment. Please let me know what you think about BigBear, what you think about the dilution. Please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I thank you all so much for being here as always, and I will see you in the next video.